First contact's price. The starship Vigilant hung in high orbit above Mars, its sensors tracking the approaching vessels with growing concern. Captain Sarah Chen watched the holographic display as it resolved the alien ship's details, sleek, predatory craft that reminded her of Earth's deep-sea hunters. Their arrival wasn't a surprise. Humanity had been detecting their long-range scans for months. What surprised her was their number. 300 vessels, each larger than anything humanity had ever built. Analysis complete, Captain. Lieutenant Rodriguez reported from his station, dark eyes fixed on streaming data. Energy readings suggest their smallest escort vessel could level a continent. The largest ships. He paused, swallowing hard. They could crack a planet. Chen nodded, her expression carefully neutral despite the ice in her stomach. Humanity had prepared for first contact for decades, but the sheer scale of the alien armada suggested this wouldn't be the peaceful exchange they'd hoped for. The Vigilant was officially a research vessel, though one bristling with sensors and equipment that pushed the boundaries of human science. They were about to put all of it to the test. Open broadcast channels, all frequencies, she ordered. Let's see what they want before we panic. The response came instantly, a cascading series of complex mathematical equations that their computers quickly decoded into comprehensible language. The message was simple, yet its implications were staggering. Greetings, developing species. We are the Carrion Empire, protectors of this sector. Your civilization has been monitored since your first radio broadcasts. You have now reached a development threshold requiring our direct intervention and guidance. Prepare to receive our representatives. Admiral James Santos, watching from Lunar Command, felt his jaw tighten. The message continued, laying out exactly what this protection would entail: the placement of Carrion advisors in all major human governments, the sharing of approved technologies, and most importantly, regular tribute payments in rare earth elements and precious metals to fund their protective services. It was the galaxy's most sophisticated protection racket. Send our response, Santos ordered, his voice steady despite the stakes. The message they'd prepared was equally simple. We appreciate your offer of protection, but humanity respectfully declines. We will defend ourselves. The Carrion response was immediate and predictable. Their lead vessel, a behemoth that dwarfed anything in Earth's fleet, began moving toward Mars. Their message dripped with condescension. Your species' defiance is noted but irrelevant. Acceptance is not optional. Prepare for demonstration of consequences. What happened next would be remembered in both human and Carrion history books, though for very different reasons. As the alien vessel approached Mars orbit, Captain Chen gave a single command: activate mirror protocol. The Vigilant previously appearing as nothing more than a modest research vessel, underwent a stunning transformation. Quantum fields that had masked its true nature collapsed, revealing a hull studded with technologies that humanity had kept hidden for decades. The ship's apparent size doubled, then tripled, as nested fields of exotic matter unfurled like the petals of a deadly flower. The Carrion vessel's sensors registered a power spike that their computers initially dismissed as an error. The readings suggested energy levels that should have been impossible for a primitive species. By the time they accepted the reality of what they were seeing, it was too late. The Vigilant released a carefully calibrated pulse of gravitational waves, precisely tuned to the resonant frequency of Carrion hull materials, a frequency humanity had discovered by studying debris from their scout ships over the years. The massive alien vessel shuddered, its supposedly impenetrable shields useless against a form of attack they'd never encountered. Interesting, Chen observed as data streamed across her displays. Their hulls are even more susceptible to harmonic disruption than our models predicted. Log that for future reference. The demonstration lasted exactly 30 seconds. When it was over, the pride of the Carrion fleet hung dead in space, its primary systems completely disabled by forces its builders had never thought to defend against. The rest of the alien armada maintained their positions, frozen in what humans would later learn was pure shock. Admiral Santos opened a channel to the remaining ships. Perhaps now we can discuss terms that don't involve tribute or submission. We have much to offer as equals and allies. As enemies, well, you've seen a fraction of what we can do when threatened. The silence that followed lasted nearly an hour as the Carrions processed what had happened. Their response, when it came, was considerably more diplomatic than their initial demands. Chen allowed herself a small smile as she recorded her log entry. First contact, Day 1. Humanity demonstrates that the best defense isn't always the most obvious one. Sometimes, it's simply letting your potential adversaries underestimate you until the right moment. The vigilant maintained its position, its true capabilities now partially revealed, a symbol of humanity's carefully planned emergence onto the galactic stage. They had hoped for peaceful first contact, but prepared for war. In doing so, they had achieved something better than either: respect. As the Carrion fleet began their withdrawal, Chen couldn't help but wonder what other surprises humanity would need to reveal in the coming days. After all, the Mirror Protocol was just one of many cards they held close to their chest. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology. It was their patience in choosing when to use it. The Silent Forge. Deep beneath the Olympus Mons research complex on Mars, Dr. Elena Martinez stood before a wall of holographic displays, each showing different aspects of Project Forge. The massive underground facility had been humanity's best-kept secret for the past 15 years, hidden from prying alien eyes by a combination of advanced quantum camouflage and simple misdirection. "Status report on the Lazarus Protocol," she asked, her voice echoing in the cavernous chamber. The facility's AI responded immediately, its voice carefully calibrated to be both professional and reassuring. "Production exceeds projections by 12%. The new batch of autonomous defense platforms will be ready for deployment within 48 hours. Stealth systems are operating at optimal efficiency. Carrion surveillance satellites remain unaware of our activities." Elena nodded, watching as robotic assemblers worked tirelessly in the adjacent chamber, constructing weapons that would have seemed like magic to humanity just decades ago. The Carrion Empire's show of force had triggered contingency plans years in the making, but not in the way they'd expected. "They still think we're scrambling to defend ourselves," Commander David Chen remarked, joining Elena at the observation window. "Their intelligence reports suggest they believe we got lucky with the vigilant asterisk. One advanced ship, they think. A prototype." He smiled, though it didn't reach his eyes. "They have no idea we've been mass-producing these technologies for years." Elena turned to face him, her expression serious. "The Mirror Protocol was just the beginning. Have you seen the latest test results from Project Prometheus?" David nodded, pulling up the relevant data with a gesture. The numbers were staggering. Energy yields that defied conventional physics, defensive capabilities that could shrug off the strongest known alien weapons. "We're ready for Phase 2 then." "More than ready," Elena confirmed. "While they're watching our orbital shipyards build conventional vessels, our deep space facilities are completing the real fleet. The Carrions think they're being patient, gathering their forces for a proper invasion. They have no idea they're giving us exactly the time we need." The facility's main display shifted to show a real-time map of the solar system, with hundreds of stealth sensors tracking Carrion movements. Their fleet had grown to over 1,000 ships, gathering in the Kuiper Belt where they thought they were safely hidden from human detection. "They're so convinced of their technological superiority," David mused, "that they never considered we might have developed in completely different directions. They're looking for radio emissions, nuclear signatures, conventional propulsion systems. While we moved beyond those technologies decades ago," Elena finished. "The quantum entanglement network, zero-point energy taps, gravitational manipulation. We developed it all in secret while maintaining a facade of normal technological progress." Ulrich chimed softly, drawing their attention to a new development. One of the Carrion scout ships had ventured closer to Mars, probably hoping to gather intelligence on the Vigilance capabilities. They watched as the automated defense systems let it approach, carefully maintaining the illusion of limited sensor coverage. "Should we let them get a peek?" David asked, his hand hovering over the controls that would activate one of their smaller facilities, one specifically designed to be discovered. Elena considered for a moment before nodding. "Spring the trap. Let them think they found something important." The scout ship's sensors would detect exactly what they expected to find: a modest research facility working on reverse engineering basic shield technology. What they wouldn't detect was the quantum gateway hidden beneath it, connecting to humanity's real production facilities scattered throughout the solar system. "Confirmed hit," the AI announced. "Their scan patterns indicate they believe they've discovered a significant intelligence target. Calculating 97% probability, they will attempt a covert infiltration within the next 72 hours. Elena's smile was predatory. "Perfect. Have the CERBRUS systems ready. Let's give them a proper welcome when they try to breach our primitive security systems." Meanwhile, in the deeper levels of the facility, the real work continued. Quantum computers processed combat simulations faster than thought. AI systems evolved new strategies and countermeasures, and automated factories produced weapons and defenses that would make the Vigilance capabilities seem primitive by comparison. "Status update on Project ZUS?" David asked, pulling up another classified file. "Final integration phase," Elena reported. "The orbital platforms are in position, masked as communication satellites. The entire network can be activated with a single command. When the Carrions finally make their move, they'll find out that humanity's defensive capabilities extend far beyond a single advanced ship," David finished. "How long do you think they'll maintain the diplomatic facade?" Elena studied the tactical displays, watching the patterns of Carrion fleet movements. Their attempts at subtlety were almost amusing, like watching a child try to sneak cookies while their parent pretended not to notice. "Their reinforcements are still arriving daily," she observed. "I'd give it another month before they think they have sufficient forces for a decisive strike. They'll want to make an example of us, to show other emerging civilizations the price of defiance." David's expression hardened. "They have no idea they're walking into a trap centuries in the making, do they?" "That's the beauty of it," Elena replied, watching as another section of the facility came online, filled with technologies that would rewrite the galaxy's understanding of what was possible. Humanity's greatest achievement wasn't developing all this technology. It was keeping it hidden until the right moment. The Silent Forge continued its work, preparing for a conflict that would reshape the galaxy's balance of power. And deep in space, the Carrion fleet continued to gather, completely unaware that their intended prey had become the hunter long ago. Operation Thunderclap. The Carrion invasion began at dawn, Earth time. 2,000 warships emerged from hyperspace simultaneously, their formation designed to overwhelm Earth's supposedly limited defenses through sheer numbers. Admiral Kextal, Supreme Commander of the Carrion fleet, watched with satisfaction as his armada moved into attack position. The humans had been given ample time to reconsider their defiance. Now they would learn the price of their stubbornness. "Begin the broadcast," he commanded, his crystalline appendages glinting in the light of Earth's sun. The message was appropriately grandiose, designed to instill terror and submission. "People of Earth, witness the fury of the Carrion Empire. Your defiance ends today. Surrender now, or watch your civilization burn." In her command center beneath the Pacific Ocean, Fleet Admiral Sarah Chen watched the alien armada's approach with calculated calm. The massive holographic display showed every detail of the incoming fleet, their positions exactly where humanity's strategic AI had predicted they would be. "They really did bring their entire fleet," she observed, more amused than concerned. "How considerate of them to put all their eggs in one basket." She opened a channel to the Global Defense Network. "All stations, Operation Thunderclap is now in effect. Execute on my mark. Around the world, hidden facilities hum to life. Quantum computers process targeting solutions faster than thought. Orbital platforms disguised as satellites shed their harmless appearances, revealing weapons that defied conventional physics. The Carians detected none of this. Their sensors, searching for traditional energy signatures and defense platforms, remained blind to humanity's true capabilities. Their first indication that something was wrong came when Admiral Kextel's flagship suddenly lost all power. "Status report," he demanded, his crystalline form vibrating with alarm as emergency lights flickered on. Unknown energy fields spreading through the fleet. His science officer reported, mandibles clicking in distress. "Our ships are being. It's impossible. They're being phase-shifted out of normal space-time." Across the Carian fleet, ship after ship found itself enveloped in quantum fields that rendered their weapons useless and their shields meaningless. They weren't being destroyed. They were being contained, like insects trapped in amber. Admiral Chen allowed herself a small smile. Phase 1 complete. Begin Phase 2. From the dark side of the moon, humanity's real fleet emerged. Led by the flagship Prometheus 500 vessels of previously unseen design approached the paralyzed Carian armada. They moved without visible propulsion, manipulating gravity itself to glide through space with impossible grace. "This is Admiral Chen to all Carian vessels," she broadcast, her voice calm and professional. "Your fleet has been neutralized by our quantum containment fields. Your weapons are offline, your engines are disabled, and your communications are limited to receiving this transmission. I suggest you listen carefully." On his trapped flagship, Admiral Kextel watched in growing horror as the human fleet approached. Their ships were unlike anything he had ever seen. No visible weapons, no conventional engine signatures, just smooth hulls that seemed to bend light around them. "Over the past century," Chen continued, "humanity has developed technologies and directions your empire never considered. While you focused on bigger weapons and stronger shields, we learned to manipulate the fabric of reality itself. The Vigilant incident wasn't a lucky prototype. It was a deliberate demonstration of our most basic capabilities." As if to emphasize her point, several human ships began systematically disassembling captured Carian vessels, breaking them down to their component atoms using focused gravitational fields. The process was completely silent, absolutely precise, and utterly terrifying to watch. "We could destroy your entire fleet in minutes," Chen explained. "Instead, we're offering you a choice. The Carian Empire can either reform, ending its practice of exploiting developing civilizations, or it can cease to exist. You have 1 hour to decide." In the command center, Elena Martinez joined Admiral Chen at the tactical display. "The quantum containment fields are stable," she reported, "and Project ZUS is ready if they try anything unexpected." Chen nodded. "Their reinforcement fleet, trapped in hyperspace by our phase barriers. They won't be joining us." The next hour passed in tense silence as the Carian leadership debated their options. Their mighty empire, built on millennia of technological superiority, had been completely neutralized by a species they had dismissed as primitive barely months ago. Finally, Admiral Kextel's response came. "The Carian Empire accepts your terms. We request a delegation to discuss the specifics of these reforms." Chen's expression remained neutral, but there was satisfaction in her voice as she replied, "Wise choice, Admiral. However, to ensure your cooperation, we'll be installing our own advisors in your government. Consider it a taste of your own medicine." As the human fleet began the process of securing the Carian armada, Chen turned to Martinez. "Begin Phase 3. It's time to reveal ourselves to the wider galaxy, on our terms, and the other empires that practice similar exploitation." Martinez asked. Chen's smile was cold. "They'll learn from the Carians' example, or they'll learn an even harder lesson. Humanity is done hiding." Operation Thunderclap had taken less than 2 hours from start to finish. By the end of the day, news would spread throughout the galaxy. Humanity had not just defeated the Carian Empire. They had fundamentally changed the balance of power in known space. And they were just getting started. The hunter becomes the hunted. The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as humanity's representatives made their entrance. Ambassador Michael Chen, grandson of Admiral Sarah Chen, led the delegation with quiet confidence. Behind him walked Elena Martinez's daughter, Dr. Maya Martinez, now head of Earth's Advanced Sciences Division. They weren't just diplomatic representatives. They were living reminders of how quickly humanity had risen to power. The council chamber itself reflected the changing times. Where once the Carian Empire's crystalline throne had dominated the space, now a circular arrangement of seats emphasized equality among species, though some seats remained conspicuously empty. Former powers that had chosen conflict over adaptation. Honored representatives, Michael began, his voice carrying easily through the vast chamber. We come with evidence of continued violations by the Drachnid Consortium. Despite multiple warnings, they persist in their exploitation of pre-FTL civilizations. The Drachnid representative, a towering reptiloid named Sith, rose in protest. These accusations are baseless. The consortium merely offers guidance to developing species, as we always have. Maya stepped forward, activating a holographic display that filled the chamber. 3 days ago, a Drachnid fleet attempted to subjugate the Centauri colony. They expected to find a vulnerable human settlement. Instead, they encountered this. The hologram showed a Drachnid battle fleet approaching Alpha Centauri. What happened next caused murmurs of shock throughout the chamber. The entire fleet simply disappeared. We've developed what we call the Void Protocol, Maya explained calmly. It temporarily shifts aggressive vessels into a pocket dimension, giving them time to reconsider their choices. The Drachnid fleet will return in approximately 6 hours, minus their weapons and dry systems. Seth's scales had taken on a distinctly pale hue. This is impossible. Such technology violates fundamental laws of physics. No, Maya corrected, it violates your understanding of physics. Humanity's development took a very different path than most species. While you focused on mastering known sciences, we explored the boundaries between science and what you might call impossible. The hologram shifted to show multiple locations across the galaxy where Drachnid forces had been systematically stripped of their ability to threaten others. Each operation was conducted with surgical precision, leaving civilian infrastructure untouched while removing all military capabilities. We didn't want to become galactic police, Michael continued, but we will not stand by while stronger powers prey on the vulnerable. The age of empires built on intimidation is over. In the decades since Operation Thunderclap, humanity had systematically dismantled the old power structures of the galaxy. The Carian Empire had reformed, becoming a valuable ally once they abandoned their exploitative practices. Others had followed suit, recognizing that resistance was futile against humanity's seemingly magical technology. But the Drachnid Consortium had been more stubborn, believing they could find weaknesses in human defense systems. They had spent years probing for vulnerabilities, never realizing that each probe was carefully allowed to gather exactly the information humanity wanted them to have. The consortium has 2 choices, Michael announced. Reform, as the Carians did, or face complete technological regression. We can shift your entire civilization's infrastructure back to pre-industrial levels if necessary. The choice is yours. Dr. Martinez activated another hologram, this one showing the successful integration of reformed species into the new galactic community. Trade was flourishing, cultural exchanges were enriching all involved, and technological development was accelerating as different species shared their unique perspectives. We offer partnership, not subjugation, she explained. Humanity's goal isn't to rule the galaxy, but to ensure all species have the opportunity to develop without coercion or exploitation. The chamber erupted in discussion as various representatives debated the implications. The Drachnid representative sat in stunned silence, likely communicating with his superiors through quantum entanglement channels. channels that humanity could monitor but chose not to, respecting privacy until it was abused. A junior diplomat leaned toward Michael. "Sir, we're detecting massive energy signatures from Drachnid space. They appear to be activating their supposedly secret weapon platforms." Michael nodded calmly. "Right on schedule, Dr. Martinez." Maya's fingers danced through the air, manipulating quantum fields that only humans could perceive. Throughout Drachnid space, their ultimate weapons, planet killer platforms hidden in dimensional pockets, simply ceased to exist, transported to a research facility near Earth's core for study. "The Drachnid Consortium's hidden arsenal has been secured," she announced to the chamber. "We recommend focusing our discussion on peaceful economic reforms rather than futile military options." Seth slumped in his seat, finally accepting the inevitable. "The consortium requests a recess to discuss terms of reform." As the chamber adjourned for deliberations, Michael and Maya shared a knowing look. Humanity's hunters had indeed become the hunted, but the hunt wasn't for conquest. It was for a better galaxy, one where strength meant responsibility rather than opportunity for exploitation. The empty seats in the chamber would be filled again, either by reformed powers or by new species rising to take their place. And humanity would continue its work. Guiding the galaxy toward a future where might makes right was a historical curiosity rather than a governing principle. Empires fall. The last holdout of the old order began to crumble on a quiet Tuesday afternoon, Earth Standard Time. The Zarkax Dominion, the most xenophobic and aggressive of the former major powers, had finally made its desperate move. In the transformed Galactic Council chamber, now a marvel of integrated technologies from a dozen species, the emergency session was interrupted by a massive holographic projection. Supreme Overlord Vexnar of the Zarkax appeared, his biomechanical form crackling with barely contained energy. "Behold," his voice boomed, "the true power of the Dominion. While you played at diplomacy, we perfected the ultimate weapon. The galaxy will kneel, or it will burn." Dr. Maya Martinez, watching from humanity's Advanced Defense Center on Europa, allowed herself a small sigh. "They actually built it," she murmured, studying the readings from humanity's quantum sensors. "A dimensional cascade device. They're going to try to tear reality itself apart." Admiral James Chen, great-grandson of the legendary Sarah Chen, stood beside her. Exactly as the predictive model suggested. They really are that desperate. The Zarkax weapon was, theoretically, capable of unraveling the fabric of space-time itself, creating a cascade effect that would destroy entire sectors of the galaxy. It represented the culmination of their civilization's technology and their complete misunderstanding of the forces they were attempting to manipulate. "Should we stop them now?" James asked, watching as the massive device began powering up in Zarkax space. Maya shook her head. "Let them finish the sequence. It's time to show everyone why we've been so confident all these years." Across the galaxy, various species representatives watched in horror as the Zarkax weapon reached critical power levels. The Dominion had positioned the device at a crucial intersection of spatial corridors. Its effects would ripple through the galaxy's major trade routes and population centers. Supreme Overlord Vexnar's voice filled all communication channels. "Surrender your sovereignty to the Dominion, or watch your civilizations crumble into quantum chaos." Maya opened a channel of her own, her voice calm and almost gentle. "That's not going to happen, Overlord. In fact, nothing's going to happen at all." She made a simple gesture, and the massive weapon, the pride of Zarkax technology and the work of decades, simply stopped existing. Not with a bang, not with a dramatic explosion, but with a quiet ripple of quantum fields that humans had mastered centuries ago. "You see," Maya continued, addressing not just the Zarkax, but the entire galactic community, humanity didn't just develop advanced technology. We fundamentally changed our understanding of reality itself. What you call space-time is just the surface of something far more complex and beautiful. Displays throughout the galaxy showed the truth. Earth and its colonies weren't just defended by ships and weapons. They existed within a carefully maintained quantum matrix that humanity had been building for centuries. It wasn't just a defense system. It was a fundamental reimagining of how reality could be structured and maintained. Your weapon, Maya explained, was trying to break something that we transcended long ago. We let you build it because we wanted you to understand. The age of trying to force the universe to submit to our will is over. It's time to learn how to work with it instead. In the council chamber, Ambassador Michael Chen stood. The Zarkak's dominion now faces the same choice others have faced. Reform is still possible. In fact, we've prepared a transition plan specifically for your civilization's unique needs. Vexinar's holographic form flickered as the truth sank in. His ultimate weapon hadn't just failed, it had been impossible from the start. His civilization's greatest achievement had been rendered meaningless by humans who had moved beyond such crude manipulations of reality. How? He demanded. How did primitives like you achieve this level of control? Because we were never primitives, Maya answered. We just understood something vital. True power doesn't come from dominating reality. It comes from understanding it. While you built bigger weapons, we learned to have conversations with quantum fields. While you tried to break fundamental forces, we learned to dance with them. The demonstration continued as humanity revealed more of their true capabilities. The quantum matrix that protected Earth extended throughout human space, not as a barrier or weapon, but as a fundamental reimagining of how civilizations could interact with reality itself. We're offering to share this understanding, Michael announced to the council. Not the technology. You'll need to develop that yourselves. But the fundamental principles. A new way of thinking about existence itself. In that moment, the last empire of the old order faced its true defeat. Not through violence or force, but through the realization that they had been fighting shadows while humanity had moved into the light. The Zarkak's dominion surrendered 3 hours later, their leadership finally understanding that their choice wasn't between victory and defeat, but between evolution and obsolescence. As the galaxy celebrated another peaceful resolution, Maya looked out at the quantum fields that humans had learned to see centuries ago. The true face of reality, shimmering with possibilities that most species were only beginning to imagine. They're ready now, she said softly. Ready to learn what the universe really is. The fall of the last empire marked not an ending, but a beginning. The galaxy was entering a new age, one where understanding trumped force, and where the greatest power came not from what you could destroy, but from what you could comprehend. New dawn. 100 years after the fall of the last empire, the Galactic Assembly gathered to celebrate what historians now call the Great Awakening. The venue was symbolic, a vast space station orbiting Earth, constructed through the combined efforts of 30 different species, each contributing their unique perspectives and technologies. Dr. Aria Chen Martinez, descendant of both the legendary Chen and Martinez lineages, stood before the assembled representatives. Above them, through the station's quantum blast dome, the galaxy spiraled in all its glory, now connected by networks of understanding rather than chains of dominance. A century ago, she began, humanity revealed the existence of our quantum matrix. Today, we celebrate not just what we achieved, but what all of us have achieved together. The holographic displays activated, showing the transformation that had swept through known space. Former empire worlds now hosted universities dedicated to understanding reality's deeper nature. Species that once built planet killers now constructed devices that healed damaged worlds. The Carians, once feared conquerors, had become renowned teachers of quantum harmonics. But today, Aria continued, we share something even more significant. Something humanity has been preparing for since before we revealed ourselves to the galaxy. She gestured, and the station's entire structure seemed to shift, revealing itself as more than just a meeting place. It was an interface, a window into what humanity had glimpsed centuries ago. We discovered something in our early quantum research, she explained. The universe isn't just alive, it's conscious. Not in the way we are, but in its own vast, beautiful way. And it's been waiting for us, all of us, to understand enough to begin a real conversation. The assembled representatives gasped as new senses awakened within them, gifts of carefully designed quantum technologies that humanity had spent generations perfecting. For the first time, they could see what humans had learned to see, the living quantum fields that connected everything, the subtle communications that flowed through reality itself. "This is why we stopped you from breaking reality," Arya said, addressing the former Zarkak's representatives. "This is why we prevented the dimensional cascade. You can't force a conversation by screaming. You can't understand by destroying. You have to learn to listen." Through the new quantum interfaces, the assembled species began to perceive the true nature of spacetime, not as a canvas to be conquered, but as a partner in creation. The quantum matrix humanity had built wasn't a weapon or a shield. It was a translation device, a way to begin understanding the universe's own language. "We didn't rise to power to conquer or control," Arya explained. "We rose to prepare everyone for this moment. Every species brings a unique perspective, a different way of understanding. We needed all of you to reach this point, to be ready for the real journey." The former supreme overlord of the Zarkaks, now a leading researcher in quantum communications, stood to speak. "We thought we were masters of reality," he said, his biomechanical form humming with emotion. "Instead, we were children playing with forces we didn't understand. But now we're ready to grow up," Arya finished. Together, the quantum fields pulsed with new patterns, the universe itself responding to their awakening understanding. Through the translation matrices, they began to perceive messages that had always been there, waiting to be understood. Vast libraries of knowledge, insights into the nature of existence, and invitations to explore dimensions beyond anything they had imagined. "This is humanity's true gift to the galaxy," Arya announced. "Not our technology, not our protection, but the preparation for this moment. The universe isn't a resource to be exploited or a territory to be conquered. It's a conversation waiting to happen." Representatives from 100 worlds watched in awe as new possibilities unfolded before them. Species that had once fought over territories now saw the meaninglessness of such conflicts in the face of infinite dimensions to explore. Former enemies became partners in understanding as they began to grasp the true scope of what awaited them. "The age of empires is over," Arya concluded. "The age of understanding has begun. And this is just the first word of a very long conversation." As the assembly absorbed the magnitude of this revelation, the quantum fields rippled with what could only be described as approval. Humanity had achieved its longest-held secret goal, not to rule the galaxy, but to prepare it for graduation to a new level of existence. The new dawn had arrived, and with it, the realization that all their previous achievements had been merely preparation for the real adventure that awaited them all in the infinite dimensions of understanding. In orbit above Earth, where humanity had first looked up at the stars and dreamed, representatives of a unified galaxy took their first steps into a conversation that would last for eternity. The story of conquest was over. The story of understanding was just beginning.